Hey everyone, and welcome back to the next devlog of my current game dev project. A third-person shooter where you command a squad of specialized soldiers on a very dangerous mission. First, some structural changes for the project. I completely moved the project to the built-in render pipeline, meaning I rebuilt and reassembled all of my systems and controllers. Why? Choosing HDRP for this project was a wrong decision, because HDRP is designed for high-end graphics and photorealism, which isn't my goal. As I stated in my first devlog, I wanted to mix the low poly look of the 3D assets with realistic lighting and visual effects, which is also perfectly doable in the built-in render pipeline. I also participated in GameMaker's Toolkit's latest game jam and used the built-in render pipeline and had no issues working with it. You can find my entry Nether Shift on my itch.io. HDRP also has a big overhead in terms of rendering and cuts a lot of performance naturally. So using the built-in render pipeline will be way more performant and also beneficial because almost every asset from the asset store works in the built-in render pipeline without the need to be converted. The next big thing I did was adding FMOD to my game. In case you didn't know, FMOD is an audio engine middleware for Unity that lets me add, and more importantly, easily edit very rich and detailed audio to my game. I never used an audio engine for my games before, but I'm comfortable in DAWs and other music software like Audacity, for example. The big advantage is that FMOD gives you so many good options to make your audio adaptive and responsive, which is very relevant for my game. You could achieve the same results with the built-in audio mixer workflow, but I am sure that a dedicated audio middleware will be better for larger scale projects like this one. So having a solid audio integration for the game will make things so much easier. Gameplay wise, I mostly kept polishing the player controller and the overall feel of the input. I added the ability to walk while aiming, since I don't want to design my game around the player being unable to walk when aiming, just like in Resident Evil 4 for example. I also added some camera recoil and enhanced the overall response of the gun firing. I added heat distortion and muzzle sparks when shooting and also made the bullet ejection use actual 3D objects to make them more realistic. I also adjusted the camera setup. There is a run camera in place now which uses some noise to amplify the sprinty feeling. Implementing the first UI elements was a lot of fun. I started out with the basic core display in the corner, which is used for health, ammo, and another resource that I plan to implement later. I am using an asset called Shapes, which can be used to generate procedural shapes through code. It's very handy and has tons of styling options. I also added a sprint bar which gives information about how much stamina is left, which consists of just two small lines and a simple behavior for their alpha value. I also finally started level design for the prologue of this project, which is set in a misty, eerie forest at night. The game starts with the squad being flown to the operation location with an air convoy to infiltrate a bunker-like underground laboratory. On the way to said location, the air convoy suffers an accident and crashes in the forest. The player has to make his way to the entry of the lab. This section of the game will be acting as the tutorial, where basic mechanics are introduced. I am using the Polaris low poly terrain engine to shape the terrain, and it makes things very easy. Besides that, I've been using Aura 2, which is a complete volumetric light solution for Unity, and adds a phenomenal atmosphere to the game. I could lift the overall look of the game to another level by also adding a bit of post-processing. I really like the visual art direction so far. I announced in my last devlog that I want to get a feedback very soon. This is why I created a playable demo for you to try out the current state of the game. There isn't much in it yet, but most of my time went into the player controller, which is what I need feedback for. So yeah, please go ahead, look and run around, fire at guns and tell me what you think, be it either here in the comments or over on my HIO page. Everything is still a bit rough and also buggy, obviously, so I am most interested in the feel of the player controller. I plan to add more demos later on, once I have significant increments of content. As for planning, I created a detailed list of guns I want to implement with all of the relevant stats and characteristics. I also did concept some small mini games which will be performed for hacking, overriding consoles or arming bombs, just to freshen up the gameplay a bit. Alright, I think this wraps up my third devlog. Thank you for being a part of my journey. Let me know what you think and feel free to write any ideas, questions or feedback in the comments. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the like button if you enjoyed watching. You can also take a look at my socials and hit the bell to stay updated about this project. As always, have a nice day, enjoy the demo and please don't spill your beer.